Hey everyone, I'm Grant and welcome back to the channel. I think I know what's happening with my motor, and the really surprising news is it's not even locked up. It never was. But there were several things that happened all at once that made me think it was locked up. So going back to my last video, I said I was going around a turn, and when I looked back down, the temperature spiked on my coolant sensor here, the engine shut off, and I wasn't able to spin the motor with the starter. So the actual cause of the engine shutting off was this wire here. The crimp for the wire that supplies power to my starter failed. And that's important for two reasons. One, it made me think the engine was locked up because when I went to hit the starter, I heard that noise. And that's just the solenoid engaging, but there's no power to the main electrical motor to spin the TDI engine. Because of that, I thought the motor was locked up. Secondly, that crimp failing is why the motor shut off, because I piggyback off that wire on the terminal on the starter that supplies all the main power to the ECU that runs this TDI engine. So when that crimp failed, the engine shut off and the starter had no power to spin the motor. Because of that, I thought there was an internal issue with this motor. And I have been told for years, if you think there's a problem with your motor, do not force it to spin. So every time I put a socket wrench here to try to spin the motor, I would pull up on it a little bit, and I was actually in the middle of a compression stroke. I felt so much resistance that I went, okay, I need to take my time, something is wrong. As you can see, I dissected the entire front end of my TJ Wrangler. Took the winch off, took the front grille off, took enough off the front of the engine to check it, because I actually thought the water pump might have seized up and that was the reason why the engine stopped spinning. And you can tell this water pump is brand new. So when the timing belt was replaced 6,000 miles ago, they put a new water pump on it. So I know all those parts are good. Now, I am 96% confident that that was the issue. But since I have this torn apart as far as it is, I'm going to go ahead and remove the valve cover. I'm going to go ahead and drain the oil. I'm going to drop the oil pan, and I want to check everything in the head of the motor and on the bottom end just to ensure everything looks good. This was a lot of work to get it to this point, but I am not upset by it. This actually means everything is probably in a really, really good shape, but I am going to triple check everything before trying to get it to run again. Alright everyone, I don't know if you can see me. I got the oil pan off. I'm actually really glad I took it off. Everything under here looks great. I don't see any metal shavings, and I've gotten most of the original sealant on here off. But I'm glad I took this off because about 30 to 40% of the bolts on here were absolutely loose. So I'm going to now work on cleaning up the oil pan, getting all of the old gasket material off. And then I'm going to go about also cleaning all the bolts. And then if I can get that done pretty quickly, I guess I'll start working on getting this put back together. The other thing I wanted to check was this timing, or not timing chain, I'm sorry, chain on the oil pump, and it feels and looks really good. So I have high confidence that this motor is in good shape. Got the oil pan cleaned up. And through the recommendation of David, and thank you David for letting me know about this stuff, I am going to be using this The Right Stuff gasket maker, a 90-minute gasket maker. Now, I'm actually going to let it cure overnight because I'm in no rush to put oil back in it. But I am going to get this applied around the edge, and once I get this done, I'm also going to reinstall the valve cover as well with the same stuff. So, I'm going to get back to it. Tell you, this has been a roller coaster ride, to say the least. It has more than enough oil. It's right at the full mark. Has coolant. Oh, I need to check the power steering because I did drain some of it. It still has enough. I can add more to it. Before I go about installing the headlights, I guess it's time to see if it turns on. Fire in the hole. Yes! I cannot begin to tell you how good that feels. I'm done for the evening. It is super late. It runs. I still need to put the headlights in it. I need to bleed the coolant system. I need to get everything up to temperature. I need to check the transmission level. There's so many things I have to do. But it runs again. And that is the biggest relief in the world. Good morning, everyone. It's the next morning. It is ridiculously early. I'm trying to get a couple of things done before I have to get to work. All I want to do is reinstall the winch and install the headlights. So I'm going to get to it. Alright everyone, the weather has not cooperated with me, so I have not been able to really test this, but there is a break in the storms, so we're going to go test this real quick. Alright, here we go. Well, she's running and driving. I gotta say, this feels good. I cannot tell you how relieved I am that this engine runs. Wet pavement plus a lot of throttle is not a good idea in this thing, apparently. Who knew? Got to work on the tune for the shifter. This is feeling really solid. But it has been raining really heavily here. I do like this thing. Oh, I love this shifter. Come on, go down. Unfortunately, I'm running out of daylight, which I can drive at night in this thing, but the camera stinks at it. It just doesn't get old. Ugh. Woo! I've still got to address the power steering. It still doesn't have enough flow. But the engine runs. Still need to figure out if the transmission's cooling enough. But I also need the weather to cooperate on that. Well, we at least got to do a test run in it. So, engine seems to be fine. Transmission is shifting way better. I'm also discovering this is kind of scary to drive in the wet weather because this thing has a lot of power. So, anyway, hopefully in the next video, the weather will cooperate with me and we'll be able to do some more driving and test to see if the transmission cooler I installed worked correctly and I can figure out what's going on with my instrument cluster as well. It just keeps rebooting, which is the weirdest thing. But anyway, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.